Good morning, Mary Pat. How are you today? Or actually, I guess it's not even morning for you.
It is 5 o'clock, happy hour. Although happy hour is not really what it used to be these days, at least not at the moment. That's okay though.
Indeed, indeed. Um, yes, I have been doing a lot of virtual cocktail dates these days.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
so one of the things that, and for those that are tuning in, Mary Pat right now is sitting in Galway in Ireland. Um, and I'm here in Salt Lake City. And one of the things that I am just delighted about in this like chaotic moment that we're in right now is that we have the technology at the moment to be able to do things like this and still connect on a deep level and still get face-to-face time,
Mhm.
despite the fact that we are worlds apart or, in social distancing and isolation. And so that is a real benefit and something that's unique to this specific time, I think.
I know. I'm really grateful for technology it's allowed me to take this move to Ireland, which I did a year ago, just over a year ago. And it's allowing us to stay connected even in isolation. And I just think that's pretty awesome.
So, you just recently put out an article in Forbes about tips for working from home. And one of the interesting things is that you wrote that article before all this actually happened.
I did. Isn't that crazy how timely?
You are quite
Um,
prophetic.
well, it occurred to me uh, earlier this year, so probably 4 months ago. I've really been doing a lot of work with digitization, helping businesses take what they do, their systems and processes, and create that online cloud-based version of it, which is ultimately allows your business to be more sellable. But in the short term, it allows things to be more trackable and your employees have an easier model to follow. There's just so many benefits. We've had team conversations that we need to start bringing this information to the rest of the world. One of the things that we've done really well, and I've done now for 17 years, has been the work from home model, the virtual, while we're not virtual assistants, so to speak, that online wherever you are model is what we've used. And we've figured out not just how to be really efficient and productive, but how to create this corporate culture in this online family with this group of people that are we feel like family, and most of us have never been in the same room together other than like we are right now.
And I really like that idea that despite the fact that we're all kind of a little bit separated now, that you can still have culture and community and connection and feel like your employees, your coworkers are still there. They're still with you. You're still working in the same room, even if it is a virtual room.
Yeah, yeah, and it's there's benefits that you get. I am going to shut my door really fast because
Yeah.
I thought I was cocooned in here, but clearly I'm not. um, one of the things that it's we're all working from home right now. Almost everybody is, and almost everybody is really struggling also with extra distractions, with the energy
Case in
of
point.
yeah, exactly, extra noises. I think that there is, and I wrote that article with like everything that you should do, not everything, but here's some of the key things that you should do if you're going to be working from home to maintain productivity, accountability, setting yourself up for feeling good about all of it. Because if you don't feel good, you're not going to be as productive and everything else. But there's just so many important things that you need to be doing, and creating the culture and the connectivity with each other is arguably the most important piece of it. Without that, your productivity is not going to be what it could be, and often what it needs to be for us to be able to deliver for our clients. So super
So walk
important.
us through some of those key tips for actually working from home and being productive.
Okay, so the first one is technology. It's kind of obvious that we need technology to support us. And I'm going to state the obvious because I think a lot of people are discovering right now that they don't have some of those basic things. So broadband, your internet connection, speed, super important. It's obvious, and you need to be aware that if you're self-isolating with all of my doors are like opening by themselves. So hold on. How many in this work from home experience hiccups can we actually have to showcase things that you're supposed to do?
Yeah.
That would be a sign on the door and making sure doors are all the way shut so the dog can't open them or they don't open themselves. Back to what I was saying, technology, broadband. You really need a fast speed to meet your needs. And if you're sharing because you're in self-isolation with, 2 kids and a husband, and maybe your TV, like how many devices do you have going on at the same time? In today's families, you can easily count 10 devices all hooked up to your broadband, your Wi-Fi, and that's going to impact your ability to be productive during the day if everybody's online at the same time. So super basic, but really important. And maybe having some boundaries around who's allowed like primary times to be online, to be on video. We're all Zooming right now, which brings us to the next technology tip is having great video conferencing. Zoom has gone from being a video conferencing service to being a verb in the last, 30 days or so.
Yep, I think that Zoom really landed on people's radar about middle of March, if they hadn't heard of it before. Before it was kind of
Yeah.
like a techie business solution, and now it is a global thing.
And it's important to know what your options are. You can use Zoom for free, and you want to make sure if you are using it for work that, especially if you're working with clients, well, not especially, just some basic work parameters, I recommend paying for your service. Anything that's free is going to be higher risk for hackers when you're dealing with technology and online stuff. You don't want to be, I think they're calling it Zoom bombed.
Yeah.
Another verb that's appeared in the last few weeks. But nobody wants that when you're trying to conduct business. So Google Meet is another one that is a super easy free service. If you're on G Suite, it's part of your service. And if you're on G Suite and you're paying for that, then you're paying for the level of security, and Google protects its own. So, but there's lots of options out there. Make sure that it is secure, that I'll talk about a few Zoom tips just really fast because they've really had to increase their security. If you're on Zoom, they've been doing updates like 2 or 3 a week.
Yeah.
The last few weeks. And this is important that you're doing your updates. As soon as one of your software companies that you use every day sends out an update, do the update right away. Prioritize that update. If you need to make it a daily part of your routine, do that, because your security and the information you're sharing is important. In business, it's what makes us who we are. So let's protect that and treat it with the respect it deserves. On Zoom, you want to use password protected links. You likely want to, if you're doing a larger group, put people in the waiting room and add them in so that you have control of who's showing up. And most importantly, just don't post your video links for people to come into your video conference on Facebook or any of your social media, because that will attract more of the hackers and the people who really aren't supposed to be there. So
Absolutely.
Broadband, video conferencing, those are really the two biggest ones. And then some really great video tips when you're on video with your team or with your clients. Keep your video turned on. It doesn't matter if you're dressed from, the chest up, whatever. Nobody cares, and whatever helps you have fun and stay comfortable. I am in my slippers all the time, or really warm fuzzy socks. No matter what I look like up here, I'm going to be having comfortable things on my feet to keep them warm. So do what you need to do to stay comfortable, but look good, show up on video. The other thing, especially when you're on with your team members tend to get really laid back. You need to show up like you're at work, because that's going to help your productivity and your efficiency and your connection with everybody else.
You know,
So,
and for me, up until very recently, I had an office that I was going to every single day. But my first year that I was in business, I was working from home, or I was, kind of going to coffee shops and things like that when I started to feel too lonely. And that was one of the goals that I set for myself in my first year, was I'm going to get up and get dressed like I have somewhere to be, even if I don't have anywhere to be. And it helped
mhm,
me maintain that level of professionalism. So I would get up, I would put on, professional clothes, I'd put on my makeup, I'd put on my jewelry, I'd, put on a spritz of perfume, because it
mhm,
helped me kind of mentally get into work mode versus, oh, I'm at home and maybe I'll just toss in this load of laundry and then maybe I'll just get work done, things like that. And then I also had to be very, very firm. And you touched on this, but setting aside blocks of time. So I am
mhm,
going to put an appointment in my calendar that shows that I am doing this from this time to this time. This is the work that I am getting done. When you're a little bit more self-directed or a little bit more on your own,
yeah.
sometimes you need that.
You
Um,
know, that's one of the greatest self-management skills, and you really will struggle working from home if you're not really good managing yourself. And I'm saying that as someone who is not good at managing herself. So I have so many tips and tricks. I want to talk about those, though, kind of at the end, because they kind of package all the other. I want to talk about environment and then just some basic business systems. And
yeah.
we started to get into the environment, like acting like you're going to work, setting up an office in your home, making it your space for work helps you do that mindset shift that you were talking about, to go from, whatever you're doing in your day and being at work. So really having a dedicated space and setting yourself up for success when you're doing it in the moment. During a pandemic, it might be a little more difficult because we're limited by what we can do. But if you're looking at maintaining a home office for longer than a few weeks, I strongly recommend setting yourself up as an office, having a desk, having your technology support you. And even if you are just here for the short term, find a place that is preferably not your bedroom, and make that your workspace so that you can go there and sit down and be going to work. And more importantly, at the end of your day, you can leave there and you can be leaving work. Especially as a woman, we have a hard time shutting things off. And so there is oh, I've got 20 minutes. I'm going to go do laundry, or I'm going to go do the dishes. And I will say that you can do those things when you're working from home, and they can really be great benefits of working from home, but do them on purpose. Schedule them. I recommend scheduling those things into your day instead of just wandering into them, because we need to have that mindset and that structure. And in order to do that, we have to be at work. So if you want to go into the break room slash kitchen and do the dishes, by all means do that. But know that you're taking a break and then go back to work.
And that is something that I think is important, is balancing your work with breaks that are intentional and meant to serve a purpose, not just, oh, I've got this chore that I have to do, but actually saying, I'm going to take a mental break, a physical break. I'm going to deliberately step away from my work so that I can have a moment to breathe or have a moment to eat. I am the worst about getting hyper focused, like blinders on with my work. And then like last night I looked up and I was like, oh, it's 7 and it's staying lighter later in the day. How did that happen? No wonder I'm starving and grumpy and my brain
Yeah.
feels like mush.
Yeah.
And
So for
that's
me, one of the things that I did for years was I would not get up first thing in the morning, shower, and go, to the next bedroom over that was my office to go to work. Instead, I would have my morning routine with coffee. I would sit down with my device, and I still do. Like my morning coffee, after about 30 or 45 minutes, I'll start looking at my phone and kind of flip through what happened at night. Now that I'm on a different time zone than everybody else, it really matters. Stuff happens. A lot of stuff happens at night.
Mhm.
So I want to be able to catch up on all of that. I don't consider that my work time, and I will tell my team, I might respond to a few things and I'll say, hey, I'll get back to this later when I'm at my desk, when I get to work. And that's a really important thing. But my day, I'm two things about me. One, I'm a kinesthetic processor. So that means that my body needs to be moving for me to fully engage. And that's hard to do when you're stuck in front of this little screen right here all day long. So I have always made habits of, if I'm not on video, and some days I'll just decide with my team, hey, we're not going to do video calls today because I need to be outside, or if I'm processing stuff with a client, I love to be sweeping while I'm on the phone talking about what it is. So these are really weird things about me, but what I'm leading up to is that I used to always have like the afternoon shower.
Mm.
For me, my shower was my magic place where all my brilliant ideas would go, oh, that's what needs to happen. Now that I'm in Ireland and I live across the street from the beach, me and my dog, and the sun doesn't shine very often. It's shining, which is why we're struggling with the doors all being open. So running to the beach, and when I say running with my dog, I really mean walking to the beach and watching my dog run
Right.
on the rocks. That is an afternoon, like an hour that I step away. I can process, I can dig my feet in the sand. All of these things are kind of tips and tricks that I use for myself because I need a kinesthetic experience. That means I need to be feeling and moving and using most of my senses to really ingrain the thoughts and the ideas and help my clients have better results. Like that's the ultimate result, right? Is that I do my best work and so we get better results for them.
Well, and the other thing is that's so important right now is just taking time to get up and move. You know, um, for me, I try to use phone calls. If I'm just on the phone with somebody, I'm not on a video call. My goal is to actually stand up and walk around, even if it's just doing a small loop around my house or the room that I'm working in. And it really makes a difference to make me feel like I haven't just been in one spot or one space all day long. It makes a huge difference just mentally and physically.
Yeah. And we will get stuck in our space. And so if you are struggling right now with other people being in your space, so all these ideas sound really great when you're the only one in the house, right? We were discussing on a coffee chat this morning, a bunch of ladies, and there was a whole bunch of things that came up that ran the gamut from I'm the wife, so I have to take care of the kids, and my husband's business gets priority over mine, which is a whole nother thing. That's not this conversation. What does relate is the I don't have that space. I have small kids. And so one of the tricks, you might say, that is working for a number of women right now is getting in their car and driving down the street and making their little home office. So now they've got nobody knocking on their door, running through their office. No matter how much you prepare, we used to have signs on the doors. So I would, post a sign and they would know that, or they were supposed to know, oh, mom's in an important meeting, don't interrupt. But then they would try to go through anyhow and tiptoe, and it just doesn't work. So figure out what works for you with like in the short term right now, your environment, and make sure that it's yours and that you're set up for your success, that you're set up with all the tools that you need, paper, pens, your laptop, your strong Wi-Fi. I mean, maybe you can sit in your car outside the public library or the best coffee shop, because probably their Wi-Fi is still going even if the coffee shop is closed.
And most of them, just because they have to keep their security systems on, they want their Wi-Fi functioning because it's internet-based.
Yeah. So those are really great short-term tricks. And the long-term trick is just really set yourself up and be committed to that. Go to work. And at the end of the day, leave your work. From a business standpoint, you really want, if you're the business owner or the manager and you've got responsibilities, you want to make sure that you've got documentation that's cloud-based and you're using a good cloud-based system. Honestly, G Suite has Google Docs and the Drive, and there's functionality there that for very little money can take you a really long way. So that's a great starting point for a lot of businesses.
Really, it's very little money, like $6 to $12 US a month. Yeah. Like it's very, very affordable. One of my favorite things lately, and I've always had, my team, they work remote. All my contractors are, some of them are based near where I am. We can occasionally have in-person meetings, but mostly we don't, because we do digital marketing. And so we're all just very at home in this digital landscape. But one of the things that I found so useful for both clients and my team members is if I have to show them how to do something, but I can't get them on the phone because they're on kid duty or they are struggling with bandwidth or something like that, I use Zoom, or I have a couple of other video capabilities to just do a quick video recording of what I need them to do. Here's how you do it. Boom, boom, boom. You just saw my screen. I can put that into Google Drive or Dropbox, or send it via email, or if it's recorded to the cloud, send a link. And then they get that recording, and we don't have to worry about a time to connect, but we've still just connected. They've heard my voice. They know that I'm supporting them. They can see what I'm doing. And they're getting their answer. They're getting their needs met.
I love video tutorials. It is one of our favorite team ways. Like if we're struggling, or also we will use that internally if there's a question and answer going back and forth in an email or a comment thread about something, and it gets to about the third time back and forth. And this is really a strategy that one of my girls uses, and I just love it. And she'll just stop and go, okay, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I think you asked me to do. This is what I think I'm supposed to do next. And in 30 seconds or 45 seconds, now we've got that visual and the audio.
And you just saved yourself 25 emails back and forth.
Yes. So that brings me up to another little business setup tip, and it's super important right now. We used to do this all the time, and then it kind of dropped off, and we do a team meeting on Mondays, and then we do a TGIF meeting every Friday, where you have to come to the call to celebrate something. And some weeks that's really difficult because some weeks just suck.
But we've all had those weeks.
But it's really helpful for all of us to celebrate and find something to celebrate together. So we each do that. But what we're doing now in between on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is we do a virtual coffee chat, and it's on Zoom, and it's not required. But if you hop on, there are some days where we're just all working together. And it's kind of like we're in the office together. So if you're working on a project, and we all know what each other's working on, somebody will say, hey, Leah, I need you to look at this really fast. Tell me what you think. And it creates that dynamic that you get in the workplace where we're not in the workplace. I mean, we're just connecting there. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, though, we'll come together and it's just like being around the water cooler. It's like being in the break room, and we're not talking about work. We're talking about kids running around, or husbands, or how we're feeling that day, or whatever it might be. It gives us an opportunity to connect. Some days we just, we're banging out questions, and in that 1 hour, we will wrap up maybe 8 projects. That's or amazing. Tasks or something, because we know, oh, I can save that and be able to finish it all up. And we're all doing our own thing and connecting as we need to. The greatest benefit is just the connectivity and the sense that we're all part of something working together.
And that I think is the most important thing at the moment when people are feeling isolated, that sense of community. We've been doing every other week with my team, just a virtual cocktail hour at the end of the day. It's 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. I'm strict about the time. And we have a no work discussion allowed rule where we talk about each other. We talk about things just like you said around the water cooler, where I feel like I've gotten to know people on my team that much better, even though I'm seeing them so much less, because we're taking time to deliberately, thoughtfully connect.
I love that.
Way, which I really love.
I absolutely love that. This all brings us to, as human beings, we're in a day and age where we have this global world that we live in. We have technology at our fingertips, which is changing by the minute. So planning for technology is like, herding a bunch of cats. It's crazy. And we need to remember that at the end of the day, we're human beings. And one of the things that makes us different than so many other animals is our connectivity and our need to be social with each other. It's absolutely imperative that we feel like we belong to something. So I love that Zoom has become a verb so we can do that. I also think that it's important, as we're talking about working from home and what works, that the number one thing that you can do for yourself is have the right mindset. Your attitude is a make or break, especially in today's world. But it was before as well. Like, you wouldn't like it if you didn't go into it with the right attitude.
Perfect. I think that is a phenomenal spot to wrap up. So MaryPat, really quickly, how can people get a hold of you?
MaryPat Speaks is my main website that's being rehauled right now. So I probably shouldn't even have said that one. What's the right answer, Lydia? I don't know. You're asking about me now. Instead of me telling about everybody else.
I'm working on that rehaul of the website.
Actually, my LinkedIn profile is probably the best place for you to go to. And it's /MaryPat. So my profile is MaryPat Kavanagh, but literally LinkedIn.com/in/MaryPat, all one word, MaryPat.
Adapter to get that one.
Yes, I was. I'm usually an early adapter. I don't always follow everything through, but I usually start it. So there's that. So that's probably the best place you'll be able to get an overview from who I am on a day-to-day basis, what I talk about in Forbes, on the Forbes Council, what we're doing with strategic results, and everything else. So,
Well, perfect. Thank you so much for joining me today and for all of your wonderful insight and the great conversation. I really appreciate your friendship and your support.
Nice. Thank you.
Have a great day.